Tonight, a story that blends celebrity legacy, privacy, identity, and the transition into adulthood under an extraordinary spotlight. 18-year-old Shiloh Jolie, daughter of Academy Award-winning actress Angelina Jolie and actor Brad Pitt, was recently photographed stepping out for a dance class, dressed casually and keeping a low profile. On the surface, it appears simple, a young adult attending class. But for someone raised in one of Hollywood's most scrutinized families, even an ordinary afternoon becomes international news. Tonight, we take a closer look at what this moment represents. Segment 1. Growing up in global spotlight. Shiloh Jolie was born into global attention. From the moment of her birth in 2006, media outlets around the world competed for the first glimpse of the child of two of the most recognizable figures in entertainment. Her early years unfolded amid humanitarian missions, red carpet premieres, and a household known for its multicultural family structure. But unlike many celebrity children who actively pursue fame, Shiloh has largely remained private. Now at 18, she is entering adulthood, and every step is being closely observed. Segment 2. The recent appearance. Photographs captured Shiloh heading to a dance studio dressed in relaxed streetwear. Oversized hoodie, loose pants, minimal accessories. No entourage, no dramatic styling, no public statement. Observers quickly pointed out her resemblance to her mother, Angelina Jolie, noting similar facial features and posture. But what stood out most was not glamour. It was normalcy. Segment 3, dancer's identity. Sources close to the family have previously indicated that Shiloh has a strong interest in dance, particularly contemporary and hip-hop styles. Dance training requires discipline, repetition, physical endurance, and emotional expression. Unlike acting, which often invites media speculation for someone with her background, dance offers creative space without automatic celebrity exposure. It is an art form where movement speaks louder than headlines. Segment 4. The weight of a famous name. Being the child of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt carries unavoidable expectations. Questions follow her everywhere. Will she act? Will she model? Will she direct films? Will she reject Hollywood entirely? Children of high-profile figures often face two conflicting pressures: to follow in their parents' footsteps, to prove they are independent from them. Shiloh's quiet focus on dance may be her answer, choosing passion over prediction. Segment 5. Legal adulthood and new autonomy. Turning 18 is significant. Legally, Shiloh now has greater control over her public and personal decisions. Recent years have seen increased media attention surrounding the highly publicized legal matters between her parents. While those proceedings remain largely separate from her individual life, they form part of the environment in which she matured. Experts in child development note that celebrity children often develop heightened resilience, but also heightened awareness of public perception. Adulthood may now allow her to define her path more clearly. Segment 6. Casual fashion, cultural signal. Fashion analysts observe that Shiloh's low-key style aligns with a broader Gen Z shift away from overt glamour. Loose silhouettes, muted tones, and functional clothing dominate youth culture. Rather than stepping out in designer statements, she appears comfortable blending in. In an era of curated social media branding, understated presence can be a deliberate choice. Segment 7. Privacy versus public curiosity. The ethical debate continues. How much attention should celebrity children receive once they reach adulthood? While paparazzi photography is legal in public spaces, critics argue that young adults raised in fame deserve measured coverage, especially when engaging in everyday activities like attending class. This moment highlights a larger conversation about boundaries. Is stepping out for dance class newsworthy? Or does the legacy of her surname make it unavoidable? Segment 8. The mother-daughter reflection. Throughout her career, Angelina Jolie has spoken about prioritizing her children's individuality over Hollywood expectation. Observers note similarities in their composed demeanor. a reserved presence that contrasts with typical celebrity theatrics. But resemblance does not equal replication. Shiloh's identity appears to be forming on her own terms. Segment 9. The cultural fascination with lookalikes. Public fascination with celebrity resemblance is long-standing. When children strongly resemble famous parents, the narrative often shifts from individuality to comparison. However, psychologists warn that constant comparison can complicate identity formation. The conversation should perhaps shift from lookalike to individual. Segment 10. What comes next? At 18, Shiloh stands at a crossroads. She could pursue professional dance, enter film or fashion, study privately, step away from public life entirely. For now, the only visible direction is a dance studio door, and perhaps that is the point. Closing reflection, an oversized hoodie, a quiet walk into class, no red carpet, no announcement. For most teenagers, it would be routine. For Shiloh Jolie, daughter of two global icons, it becomes a headline. Yet beneath the attention lies a universal truth. Growing up requires space. Whether she remains in the public eye or steps further away, this chapter represents something simple yet powerful. An 18-year-old choosing movement, discipline, and privacy in a world that rarely grants her anonymity. Tonight, we examine a seemingly ordinary moment that has once again placed one of Hollywood's most private young adults under intense public attention. Shiloh Jolie, the 18-year-old daughter of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, was photographed heading to a dance class. Dressed casually, avoiding spectacle, and offering no comment to cameras. At first glance, it appears to be a routine outing. But when a teenager grows up inside one of the most scrutinized families in modern entertainment, even routine becomes symbolic. Tonight, we look beyond the photographs and explore the broader implications of adulthood, privacy, identity, and public narrative. Segment 1. The transition from child to adult. For years, Shiloh's image circulated globally as part of a famous family portrait. Red carpets, humanitarian trips, premieres. But turning 18 marks a significant legal and psychological shift. She is no longer simply a celebrity child. She is a legal adult navigating autonomy in a world that has documented her since infancy. Experts say that the transition into adulthood can be especially complex for individuals raised in public view. Independence often requires deliberate boundary setting. And sometimes, that boundary begins with something as simple as choosing how you dress and where you go, without explanation. Segment 2. The power of simplicity. In the recent sighting, Shiloh wore relaxed athletic clothing, minimal styling, and appeared focused solely on reaching her class. No attempt to perform for cameras. No visible security detail. No social media announcement. Observers noted her resemblance to Angelina Jolie, particularly in facial structure and expression. But beyond appearance, analysts point to a shared trait: composure under scrutiny. In a media culture built on spectacle, restraint can be powerful. Segment 3. Dance as structured escape. Unlike film or modeling, industries closely associated with her parents, dance offers a more insulated creative path. Dance training demands physical rigor, emotional storytelling, long rehearsal hours, team collaboration. It also offers something else: controlled exposure. Inside a studio, movement becomes the language, not headlines. Some cultural commentators suggest that pursuing dance may be a strategic form of independence, a space where legacy does not automatically define talent. Segment 4. The shadow of public family conflict. While Shiloh's personal life remains largely private, her upbringing unfolded during highly publicized legal disputes between Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Legal analysts have long observed how high-profile separations place unique pressures on children, particularly when media coverage amplifies every development. Growing up in that environment may shape how a young adult chooses visibility. Remaining low profile can be a conscious rejection of drama. Segment 5. Fashion as statement without words. Youth culture experts emphasize that Gen Z fashion trends lean toward comfort, authenticity, and anti-glamour aesthetics. Oversized hoodies and loose silhouettes are not accidental. They reflect a generational shift away from curated perfection. For someone associated with red carpets and couture, dressing casually in public sends a subtle but clear message. Normalcy over narrative. Segment 6. The ethics of coverage. Now that Shiloh is legally an adult, media outlets technically have fewer restrictions on coverage. But ethical questions remain. Should everyday activities, such as attending dance class, warrant national headlines? Media scholars argue that celebrity lineage often erases the boundary between public interest and public curiosity. There is a difference. Public interest concerns civic impact. Public curiosity concerns fame. This moment appears to fall into the latter category. Segment 7. The burden of comparison. Being labeled a lookalike can flatten individuality. While resemblance to Angelina Jolie may be visually apparent, identity is far more complex than genetics. Psychologists warn that constant public comparison may pressure young adults to either embrace or resist inherited expectations. The challenge lies in building a self-image separate from a globally recognized surname. Segment 8. Choosing movement over spotlight. Dance requires vulnerability, but in a controlled environment. It is expressive without being declarative. Perhaps that is the key distinction. Unlike a red carpet appearance, a dance class does not demand commentary. It demands practice. That choice signals discipline rather than performance. Segment 9. The public's fascination with legacy. Society often projects future narratives onto celebrity children. The next superstar, the next activist, the next rebel. Yet none of these narratives may reflect reality. At 18, the most significant development may not be career direction, but personal grounding. Stepping into adulthood quietly rather than dramatically may indicate stability rather than retreat. Segment 10. A generational shift in celebrity culture. There is growing evidence that younger members of celebrity families are redefining fame. Instead of chasing publicity, many are limiting interviews, avoiding social media exposure, pursuing education privately, choosing creative paths outside Hollywood. And Shiloh's recent appearance aligns with that trend. Visibility but controlled. Presence but not performance. Closing, reflection. An 18-year-old entering a dance studio. For most, it would pass unnoticed. But when born to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, even a quiet afternoon becomes a subject of analysis. Yet perhaps the most important detail is not what she wore, not who she resembles, not what she might become, but what she is choosing now. Routine, discipline, and measured visibility. In a culture obsessed with spectacle, that choice may be the strongest statement of all.